This is one of my most recent games as an assistant referee, and I was officially assessed by an FA observer. So in this video, I'm going to break down my performance, what I did well, what I got right, and what it takes to reach the next level. You'll get full insight into how assistant referees are assessed, and I'll even show you the official document of my observation report. So in these observation reports, you can get one of 6 marks. Major development, which means that you've got something really wrong on the same thing wrong multiple times. Minor development, expected, above expected, significantly above expected, and then exceptional. You'll notice, however, in these observations, you cannot see what mark is under each one of these. That's because this season, the FA decided to change the way observer reports are scored. Previously, observers would know the score that they were giving to the referee they were assessing. However, now it's completely blind. You fill out the criteria and the FA carry out an algorithm in the background, a calculation that determines the referee's score. So 1.1, awareness. Correct interpretation and effective use of wait and see to assess offside situations where a player is penalised for being involved in active play by interfering with play or interfering with an opponent or gaining an advantage by being in that position. Okay, so basically correct interpretation of the offside law. That's basically what this means. Description: you were effective in your recognition of law 11, offside, offences, intervening on 6 occasions with a correct and concise raised flag interventions. Evidence: 64, 72nd, etc, etc. We'll go through the evidence and we'll show you a few of these clips. We won't show you all of them because no one wants to see 7 offside decisions. It's a little bit boring, but you can see we have this one in the 72nd minute, which is a marginal decision from a counter attack, and then we've got this one in the 89th minute, which is an expected decision with the attacker clearly offside. Then the observers give what impact that has on the game. So the accuracy of these judgments ensured play was stopped and an indirect free kick was correctly awarded, enhancing the credibility of your decision-making processes. The accuracy in your positioning with the second last offender was above expected on a consistent level, and this alleviated any disputes. What's important to note here is the observers identified that they believe we got all of our offside decisions correct, but mainly because we were in line with the second to last offender. And that's probably the biggest piece of advice you can give when you're being an assistant referee is the decisions will make themselves in a way. Being in the right and credible position is the most important thing. That makes everything 10 times easier. So for this, we got above expected. And then within the offside section, you've got these other 2 subsections: awareness, correct interpretation, effective use of wait and see to assess offside situations where an attacking player is not penalised, etc, etc, etc. So this basically is to give assistant referees credit when they do not raise the flag, even though a player was in an offside position. So being in an offside position is not necessarily offside. So by waiting and seeing if that person becomes involved in active play or not, and you not raising the flag, you can also get credit for. So it's not just about giving offsides, it's about giving correct non-offsides as well. And then 1.3 contributes effectively to a law 11 judgment, offside, which contributes to a key match incident. Obviously, all decisions are important, but some decisions are match changing situations. So let's say you give an offside where a player would have been one-on-one with the goalkeeper, or you keep the flag down and they're marginally onside and they go to score. This is obviously a key match incident, and so you would get credit for getting these decisions right as well. So that's section 1. Section 2 is support to the referee. As an assistant, our goal is to help the referee deliver the best game possible. You may have heard the old saying, you're there to assist, not insist, and that is exactly right. It's our job to make the referee's role easier on the day. So section 2.1 always assesses the referee's position and view of events using eye contact and time before offering any advice. Description: you were alert and recognized the need to move towards and adopt a clear and credible viewing position when the melee confrontation occurred. On this occasion, the referee was satisfied that he had witnessed all misconduct and able to identify the main instigators, so you wisely retreated towards the technical areas to prevent any further escalations without undue interference. The impact of this is by moving closer to the group of players involved, you provided a positive deterrent while also being available to offer credible assistance should the referee had required input from you. You also prevented any further escalation from other players and the technical area personnel. Okay, above expected. So as you can see, we get this situation, it all kicks off, and I'm AR1, so I'm in front of the benches, so I've got to manage the technical areas and obviously help the referee on the pitch. The referee was really clear in his pre-match instructions that what you do is you make sure you try and keep the benches where they are, try not to let them encroach onto the pitch, and try and get different viewing angles of the situation. Almost like a triangle around what's happening. And so that's what I tried to do. When this all kicked off, I've made sure to come onto the pitch, get a different angle from the referee, and that way I can assist him with any decisions that he wanted to make following this mass confrontation. 2.2 demonstrates understanding of the laws of the game by providing the correct advice. So this is there when you're required to give advice to the referee based on the laws of the game. So let's say you've got a dogzo situation and you understand that it meets all 4 criteria. The referee comes over to you to ask and you give him that information, then you can obviously be given credit for that by providing good support with the laws of the game to the referee. 2.3 has the confidence to offer advice when it is required to support the team's management of the game, demonstrating emotional self-control and assertive body language. So it's very clear here that the FA want to see calm body language, yet being assertive and having emotional self-control with referees. It's something that's important to them. And the observers notice this. Working on the technical area side, it's important to build positive relationships with the club officials, demonstrating authority without being overly assertive. This was a challenge you accomplished to a good level, as the incumbents of both technical areas showed you good respect and cooperation. The evidence for this was in the 40th minute. You recognised the technical area participants were in danger of becoming overly excited, and you offered calming words of advice as appropriate. And the impact of this is, with the match tempo rising in the final stages of the first half and the result of the game was still in doubt, your calm and professional influence you imposed helped ensure the contest was guided to a safe and non-confrontational ending. Again, when you're AR1, you obviously have to deal with the offsides, you deal with fouls, but you also deal with the technical areas. And I honestly think this is one of the hardest things you can do in football, but I'm really glad the observer has noticed this. When I manage in technical areas, I always try to be calm, respectful, maybe even have a laugh with them, make them kind of realize that, you know, I want to be there, I want to do my best, I want to help them get the best out of their game. I'm really glad the observers noticed this, and something that is super important to me when I'm out there. And then you get into section 3, which comes under generic skills. 3.1 says clear, precise and confident signals and held for an appropriate length of time. Description: the flag technique displayed was of a high standard. It was pleasing to know all signals delivered in such a way for them to carry maximum impact. The supporting signal, described in section 2.2, was agitated to suggest the award of a simple free kick was sufficient punishment. The impact that this has is the quality of your flag work enhanced the confidence in your decisions, which were well received as a result. This might be something that's looked over by people. You may not even really notice it when you go to watch a game, but having the assistant referees and the referees signal with confidence really brings to the game and adds to the credibility. Imagine players about to go through on goal, the assistant raises their flag and then they're like, oh, or is it? Even if they were right, everybody in the ground believes you're wrong. But you give a nice strong flag, place it there, no emotion, no doubt, then people are more likely to support that decision, and it really enhances your credibility, which ultimately helps with match control. So your signaling is very, very important. 3.2, well placed to judge, able to sprint and retain a position to judge with accuracy, providing confidence in the advice offered, above expected. Description: your movement along the touchline was fluent and energetically sustained throughout the game. You facilitated the sidestepping style of movement when monitoring play in your area, with the ability to switch into a strong and powerful sprint when the situation demanded. Evidence: 7th minute, positive movement to be well placed when making the goal kick award. 27, willingness to chase back to monitor the goalkeeper collecting the ball. 54th minute, dynamic sprint to monitor play at the goal line. So when you're out here refereeing, the effort you put in can really, really help you get a good mark. There are lots of little things you can do. Okay, the long ball gets played over the back of the defenders to the goalkeeper. Well, you need to be sprinting down with that ball to the goalkeeper, because if he misses it and you've got a goal line decision to make and you're not there, okay, it may feel like it's very unlikely to happen, which it is, but it's these extra 1% that can get you the good marks. And the impact of this is the participants had confidence in your judgments, as your good level of fitness and agility saw you credibly placed for all judgments. Again, when you give a decision, if you're in the correct place, it's a lot harder for people to argue with the decision that's been made. 3.3 is fully attuned to the referee's officiating style, responding effectively to changes in the game tempo and or emotional environment, avoiding undue interference, above expected. The player replacement transition was seamless, with the relevant checks completed prior to entering the field of play and replaced player off the field of play. Then it's going through all the substitutions. This enabled minimum disruption to the game, blah, blah. 3.4, a match official who engages constructively and respectfully during the post-match post-match debrief. Again, above expected. During the post-match meeting, you were very attentive to my clarification and keen to listen to any explanation for development. You participated in a friendly teamwork meeting with advice readily accepted from the more experienced colleague as required. Just before we carry on, the referee in this game was a lot older than me, actually over twice my age. Sorry, you know who you are. But he was absolutely brilliant, and he was very high up in the merit table as well. When you're in these games with older colleagues that have been refereeing a long time, listen. They've got so much experience that they can share with you, and I'm glad that the observer has picked up on the fact that I was willing to listen to him and both the referee, who have got a lot more experience than me. I don't get defensive about decisions. If I believe the observer has got it wrong and they don't see the same as me, then I just say, yeah, I can appreciate that point of view. It's not how I saw it, but it's definitely something to think about. Don't be combative and argumentative. It's not going to help you. Ultimately, almost all observers want the best for you, right? Just like referees, almost all referees want the best for the game. And so take the advice on board, be humble about the advice, receive it, and take on board what you want to take on board. But being combative after a game with an observer is not going to help you. And then in these observations, there is a fourth section, and that is called considerations for future games. So these are things that the observer has noticed that they want to provide feedback on, but it's not something that has enough impact to negatively impact your score. So for me, Section 3.3, as we discussed at the post-match, be aware of the pre-match instructions regarding the witnessing of communication between the referee and the coaching personnel at all times. This was because there was a situation in the game where the referee had came over to the benches to talk to the away bench and just let them know their behavior needed to calm down a little bit. I walked over kind of towards the halfway line to listen, but it didn't give the perception that I was actually in listening to their conversation. So you want to come right in with the referee so that you can witness that discussion, and that way if there's any funny business after the game with so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, you are an extra pair of ears and witness to the referee. Also, as we discussed at post-match, be aware wherever possible that the colour of the coach's top does not clash with the attacking teams adjacent to the technical areas. The home team were playing in red and the away coach had a red top on. This could cause issues with offside decisions for the other AR. Thankfully, it didn't in this match. The other AR said he didn't even realise, but for future reference, it's important that we make sure that those coaches, the staff, don't interfere with the other assistant on the other side by wearing similar colours. As I said before, these observations don't show you the weighting of the marks for each section, so it's not possible for us to work out the score this time. However, my total score for this observation was 73.5. Super happy with that, as it's my first observation as an assistant referee this season. Something that'll be a lot more frequent next year if we get to level 4, fingers crossed. We've only got a few weeks left of the season. Let's keep it going. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and as always, I will see you next week.